Have you taken the attendance?
Yes, and we have a quorum.
And we have a quorum, okay. And do we have everyone lined up online? Zoom? Or is everyone who's coming accounted for here?
Yes, I just need to know who caller 1 is.
Okay. Caller number 1, who are you?
I think that might be Carl from the Airport Authority.
Okay, Carl. Thanks for calling in. Okay.
Sure.
So let's move on to public comment. Do we have any public comment today? I don't think so. Okay. So we'll move on to the consent agenda. And we will be considering 3 items in one vote. One is the minutes of the June 2nd meeting. The other is the financial reports and the Plan Commission staff report, all of which are contained in the attachment that Ray sent out several days ago. So would anyone like, Carl moves to accept all of these. Is there a second? Okay, Bart seconds. So everyone in favor of approving the consent agenda, items A, B, and C, raise your hand if you're present either online or if you're calling in, please say aye.
Carl, aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Okay, now the first item on the regular agenda is authorization to execute a contract by the Plan Commission chairperson for consulting services regarding the pavement service evaluation and rating project called PASER. Ray?
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. As you might have seen in the on the memorandum attached with the agreement, the draft agreement for this item. This is a project that you will be familiar with because we began updating about this project last few months. It's called PASER. It stands for, it's a long name, Pavement Surface Evaluation and Rating Project. It is a project to evaluate like pavements, but it's really a project for the town normal. And what they're trying to do is to get in sync with other systems that Bloomington and the county have been using. And this project is funded by IDOT, Illinois Department of Transportation. They're providing 80% of the project overall project cost, which is $99,200 as proposed by the consultant ARA, the Applied Research Associates, located in Champaign, Illinois. And someone from that firm is here in person as well as online to answer any questions you may have. So the proposed agreement was attached to the agenda. And so if any questions, I'll try to answer. Or the town engineer, Ryan Otto, is also here in person if you have any questions. So the role of the MCRPC really is a pass-through for this grant. And but we do manage and the consultants and the grant administration. So that's our role. But you see from time to time, a lot of times, because we're the MPO, the Metropolitan Planning Organization, that the grants pass through us to wait for projects in Bloomington City or the county.
So this grant will basically require minimal staff time.
Yeah, we've done this type of pass-through grants before. So yeah, really minimal, and Jim will be the primary person to cut the, if you will cut the go between IDOT and the consultant. We have an agreement with IDOT because we are the recipient, and then and in turn we have the agreement being proposed with the consultant, and of course the town normal staff, engineering staff under the leadership of Ryan, the town engineer, will actually do more the day-to-day monitoring, how the work is being done, is it done to standards and all those performance. So so we will work closely with the town staff on that, and they are also providing 20% of the whole project cost as a match to the IDOT grant.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How does this compare to how the town of Bloomington, the city of Bloomington handles this and McLean County? Is it very similar in, the programming that they're using, the
Oh.
software?
Yes, and then maybe that would be a good question for Ryan to answer. Ryan, although is the town engineer for Normal.
Sure.
Yeah, I know you might want to stand up here so if you want to like catch the webcam and also the commission.
Yeah, I know, right.
Yeah, the moments.
No, thank you, Mr. Line. Chairperson Cramp. The system that the city of Bloomington uses will be similar. It is not the same software system. It is the same rating system that we'll have. The PASER rating will be used by both the city and generated as part of this project for the town. Software that we plan to use is called PAVER. It's a nationally known software system that's used throughout the country. The city of Bloomington uses software called DOT, Decision Optimization, and it's just a little different. It's fairly complex, which one of the reasons why we opted for the PAVER for staff time going forward. And we wanted to make sure that we had the ability to maintain this system long term and keep our pavement rating system up to date with our own staff.
How does the county handle identifying roads that are in need of repair?
The county also uses PASER. They typically do a manual survey of their county highway system every
I
year.
see.
So that system involves driving all the roads on the county highway system and manually rating their system.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Any questions?
I was just wondering if, it's just curiosity, really, does the consultant do the evaluation
Yes, they
of
did.
the pavement, or do they work with another contractor?
They actually own, and Mr. Maverick is here. I think you want to address it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So absolutely,
Thank you.
no problem. So the process that we would use is we drive the roads in the town of Normal with a van. That van has cameras that look out and 3D scanning lasers that look down at the pavement. And they actually take 4,000 scans across the full width of the pavement every millimeter that you drive down the road. So we generate terabytes full of data with a pretty complex system. There's some automated analysis that goes into is the kind of the first step, followed by a human that goes through that knows pavement condition ratings. And we've got dozens of folks in our office in Champaign, or we use our office sometimes in Pennsylvania or in Texas, depending on workload. But this project's all run out of Champaign, where those trained folks will look at the cracking of the pavement and make sure that it is properly assigned to the correct distress, right? So the difference between a straight transverse crack versus an alligator pattern of cracking, those kind of things. That will help the town of Normal then understand and prioritize which roads need to be fixed when. And like was mentioned earlier, that rating system is the same rating system that's used across the region, right? With the city of Bloomington, we'll be able to make sure that you can get to regionally a common metric so that Bloomington, Normal, and the county have a measurement all on the same system to do some comparative analysis across all those agencies.
Thank you.
So using this technology, is that how the Department of Public Works, both in Normal and Bloomington, determine year by year which projects are prioritized?
Right now in the town of Normal, we are on a dual rating system. That's one of the benefits of this project and why we're so excited about it. The system that we have is a proprietary, just 1 to 5 system for local asphalt streets, as well as a PASER, actually, for some of our arterials and collectors, that the data was collected over a period of years. It's not really comparable. It's not comparing apples to apples. So it doesn't really give us a big picture of what our road system looks like. So what we're hoping to do with this project, and what this project will do, is get all our roads on one scale, allow us to develop a 5-year capital plan that will tell us, I'm very sorry, will tell us how the roads will be maintained based on certain funding levels. So we'll be able to go back to the town council and give them some certain scenarios and let them decide what budget they'd like to provide, what we can do with the budget we have. I think there's multiple different scenarios that will be generated as part of this that will give lots of options for the town council for the future. So it's not just rating, but it's also taking the next step and looking at pavement preservation, how long we can take the pavement and make it last longer with cheaper, lower cost alternatives to, just resurfacing when it falls apart. So we'll be looking at all that and how to optimize the dollars that we're given.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
So multi-jurisdictional roads then, will the city of Bloomington and the town of Normal will work together and say, hey, conditions are similar, we use the same or similar rating systems and try to tie those projects together? Or does that happen very often? People in Bloomington kind of do their own thing and
Yeah, right now it doesn't happen very often, but this potentially could give that opportunity.
Okay.
If the councils.
at least with everyone speaking the same language. Got it.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Just a quick one. I don't know if there's a communication component to this. It seems like my past experience was that there's always citizens and others that think this road is the worst. So how does the town or how does the county or the city, is there any communication of this paver rating program that the citizens can see online or see how it's done?
There will be when we're done, yes. We do have some of our ratings now published. They're just not that meaningful to most because, like I said, they're not on the same scale. You might have a road that's a 5, but it's an asphalt street, so it could be different than another road that may look worse with a concrete street. So it's not on the same scale, but we envision being able to use this data and this information to communicate with the public, showing townwide, okay, because you get those questions all the time, right? Well, why are my streets terrible? Why isn't it being done? And so right now the answer is, well, look at this street. But this will give us some objective data. When you pick streets, it's never completely objective. There's always some subjectivity based on various components of what the profile might look like, engineering issues with how the road was installed initially. But I guess to answer your question, yes, we hope to use this data to communicate to the public, where their street might stand, even in the priority level of all the other streets in town.
I think that'd be very helpful and not even, if it's not on this year, maybe it's a 5 or 7 or 3 and it's likely to come up next year, or the year after. It's just nice to know where you're at.
Yes. Yeah, that's our hope.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
From an outreach perspective too, something that I've seen this is more kind of on the upfront, because in talking to Joe Stefanski, who you can see on the screen there, is he's our project manager. He's in Champaign, and he'll be overseeing the work. But he told me on the way up that we could be out with that van with all the scanning lasers and cameras and what have you as early as next week. So if I don't know what the town does or what the MPO does as far as communications, but sometimes it's good to let folks know that this is not spying on them, and we're actually this is good governance, right? Where there might be an opportunity to get out ahead and say, hey, look, we're looking at the conditions of the road so that we can figure out a better path forward. And don't worry, this van is appropriate to be here. It says pavement testing or something on the back of it. It's got some lights on. Yeah, this is. But people get a little nervous sometimes when they see a van with a whole bunch of electronics dangling off of it. So.
No, that's a good heads up. We can definitely put out a press release and let folks know what's going on.
I do have a few questions. Sorry if I missed this in the reading, but I was looking at item 5, so for the paver training and license. Is this a one-time license or will this be ongoing? So I'm trying to predict what the longer-term expenses are.
The paver, which is the computer program that is going to be used, is a one-time license. It's software that was written by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. It's actually sold through Colorado University. I'm not sure how the Corps of Engineers. It was written in Champaign at the Corps of Engineering lab in Champaign, but somehow they're now distributing it out of Colorado. But it is a one-time acquisition. Now if you want to get upgrades or be on an upgrade path, there are some that are out there. I know that Bloomington uses a little different software, and it's got a different software scheme to it. But we're happy to help with, from the consultant side, whatever software platform you're looking for. Our job is to get you good data and help make good decisions for the town, and if as needed to help regionally if you would have some needs there. Whichever tool, yes, you have to look at licensing and out your costs of those things, but the cheapest version out there is the version we're going with, which is the government written software. That's effectively a one-time license fee.
And the town is prepared to maintain that with our budget going forward.
Thank you.
What other cities in Illinois do you work with on this type of?
Oh my goodness, dozens.
Okay.
So I'll start with county. I'll try and start locally, and I'll go
Okay.
out from there. I guess I'll start around. I'm from Champaign, right? So we've been working in Champaign County. They've had an active payment management system since 2007. We've worked in Sangamon County. We've had their system in place since I think 2009, somewhere in that time frame. As you get up to the collar counties, McHenry County, Kane County, DuPage County, and then city-wise at roughly 30 suburban communities. I mean, Joe would have a better list because he's working for them on
All right.
they go from Orland Park to McHenry to you name it in the Chicagoland area. As a company, we do this literally all over the nation. I don't know that there's a state in the nation. We work in Alaska, implementing this in Anchorage, and we work from Washington State to Florida, Lee County, Florida. If you go to Fort Myers, is a customer of ours. So is Washington, D.C. and Nashville, Tennessee. And effectively, they're all doing what you're doing, right? So what you're doing is the state of the practice. And it is what I would call an industry best practice for how to manage assets. I live in the little town of Savoy, and tonight I'm a village board member there, so I'm on the board. We don't have one of these asset management systems in our little village, but I'm going to change that. Of course, as a board member now, I can't do the work because I can't do the work and work for and be on the board. But it is an important step that I think is taking off with municipalities across the country.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, hearing none.
Brian,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brian.
I just want to thank Mr. Lai and Ms. Six for all their work over the last 2 years, I think. We've been working on this project. COVID delayed us quite a bit, along with various other reasons, but really appreciate all of their help and guidance as we've kind of navigated the IDOT grant process and the procurement process. And just, I think Ms. Six wrote the grant that made this project possible as well. So just want to take the opportunity to thank them.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. On behalf of the town,
Thank you,
we're very appreciative of your
Yeah.
partnership.
All right, thank you. Is there a motion to authorize execution of this contract?
Yeah, if I may just point out that Commissioner Langley also joined virtually.
Oh, okay.
Just so we know who
All right,
who the commissioners are.
all right. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Okay, John Burrell moves to approve the Pacer contract, item B. Carl seconds. Everyone in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Carl Olson, aye.
Okay, I believe that's unanimous. Okay, now we will move on to the election of officer. We have an open position for vice chairperson of the executive committee. Diana Hallman stepped down, and she sent a letter to Ray and I, and she served us well on the planning commission. She has many other activities, and she decided that she had to narrow her scope in order to do her best in the projects that that are near and dear to her heart. So as a result, we have a vacancy for vice chairperson. So would anyone like to nominate a vice chairperson?
Yeah, I'd like to nominate John Burrell
John
for the
Burrell?
position of vice president.
Okay, okay, Jim Curran seconds that. Okay, is there any discussion on that? John, would you like to give us a little bit of background about yourself before we take a vote?
I can do that, yes, from
Okay.
here.
Yeah,
Okay.
just from here is fine. I think they can see you from where you're sitting.
Well, just by way of background, I spent the first 63 years of my life in Canada. I'm a dual citizen, various places in Canada. I moved here in the fall of 2020 and got a green card in March of 01. I said 2020, sorry, I meant 2000. I got my green card in 01 and took a job with Mid-Central Community Action here as the CFO and Chief Operating Officer, kind of. And my executive director retired about a year and a half later, and I became the executive director. And I stayed there until I retired in 2010. Background-wise, my career kind of has been in three parts: 10 years in education, 20 in corporate life in the pharmaceutical industry, and then the rest of it in nonprofit management. Actually, focusing mostly on children's charities, one in Toronto and one in Kingston, Ontario, and then finally Mid-Central Community Action here. So that's about all I can tell you. If anybody has any questions.
Well, I think it's time for a vote. So is there a motion to elect John Burrell as our next vice chair of the executive committee?
Carl Olson moves.
Carl moves. Is there a second? Okay, Mark seconds. All in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Carl Olson, aye.
Okay. Well, congratulations,
Thank
John.
you. And,
Thank you, John.
Forward to somebody telling me what that's
Okay, so we have a few items for information and discussion next. And so I will call on Lauren Gibson to give us an update on the regional housing initiatives.
So I'm just going to stay here because really there is not much of an update, just that the eviction moratoriums are expiring within a month and the eviction prevention program is up and running.
Great. Okay, thank you. Okay, item B is the TASER project update. And Jennifer?
I think you just heard the update.
Okay, all right.
And contract execution, as was said, we hope to see this get underway very quickly. And we're looking forward to seeing the results and how they mesh in with the other two local governments. This is the first in a series of projects we're going to propose to IDOT to sort of regionalize transportation management in Bloomington Normal and McLean County. It's more efficient that way. It's sort of equalizing the cost a little bit, so not any one local government isn't getting nailed with, excessive costs for that process. And we hope to see this expand and really take off for basically all three local governments to cooperate. So they seem to be okay with that idea. And this is step one.
Okay. Item C is Ray here to give a project update on the 5G.
Yeah, since last month's update, the consultant has been working with a couple of the service providers in the area. The Metronet and Comcast, so far, they're still also reaching out to another service provider. They finished, talking or discussing with the town and the city staff, and so they're reaching out to the service providers. So still on track to have the report to be completed in the fall of this year.
Okay. And then Vision Zero update, both Ray and Jennifer.
Sure, and I'll start, and then Jen could
Okay.
anything. Since last month, Jen and I kind of been busy, kind of a circuit rider, if you will, trying to inform, educate about some of the governmental entities about the Go Safe, the traffic safety, transportation safety project that you all adopted. And so we were invited to give a presentation to the Rotary Club, to the the city of Bloomington, as well as the county transportation committee, will still scheduling something with the town of Normal and others. We want to get the word out, but at the same time, we would like to, at least for the governmental entities, to have a better understanding, for the elected officials, so that we know how they feel, whether they like the plan as adopted, or they would have some version of their own, so that we know what the next steps to structure for implementation of the plan. Jay and I have been kind of on tech team to go to different bodies in kind to inform and educate. Yeah, at this point.
Want to add anything, Jennifer?
Sure, I think that it's been really nice to see, even for people who walked into these presentations having no idea what we were talking about. There's been a lot of good reaction. People are interested in seeing this go forward. And, for each of those discussions we've had, there have been a lot of good questions and a real, effort to sort of see how this might work and where we might go with it. And, as we've said all along, where we can go with this is pretty much anywhere that has to do with safety and transportation safety, obviously, but also we're talking about, different age groups and different types of use of the transportation system, and all of that falls into this umbrella.
Okay, and then finally, we have a very interesting grant application that Ray is going to tell us about. The surname is Ray's Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity.
Thank
Right.
you. Thank you, Madam Chair. It's a long name, so we'll just keep calling it Ray's. It's a grant opportunity, federal government, US DOT, Department of Transportation. Under this program, there are two types of grants. One is capital infrastructure construction type projects, like building roads, expanding, or whatever. Another category is a planning grant. It's for long-range planning. And we are opting to go for the planning grant. And the subject is to look at this 10-mile Veterans Parkway that you and I was traveling so many times on. And it was first built in 1941, and 80 years later, 2021. So our intent is to reinvent, we envisioned, we plan this roadway that's kind of auto-oriented, but not conducive to pedestrians, cyclists, public transit, fatalities, if you have read, in the newspaper, in the news. You see the grocery store across the street, but you cannot get to unless you walk like 15 minutes this way and then 15 minutes this way, to get to it, that type of scenarios. I've seen so many people get off the bus, they cross this 6 to 12 lane Veterans Parkway to reach the destination, maybe going home, maybe going to work, and vice versa. There are a lot of employers, major employers along Veterans Parkway. The area that we're looking at is the two I-55 interchanges, northeast of Bloomington, of Normal, and then southwest of Bloomington. So really between the two interchanges. So our goal, as the name of the grant program is called, with sustainability and equity. So we'll be putting the lens on safety, where we just talked about Vision Zero. Sustainability, equity is for everyone, regardless of age, physical abilities, and ethnic origin, race, whatever, income level, to be able to use this roadway that was designed 80 years ago and has always been auto-oriented, right? And there's not too many bus stops along it, let alone sidewalks. And so the goal really to look at and have a planning process, if we got the grant, to have this planning process to look at this 10-mile stretch and how to address all different needs of everyone in the community, even people from our town, because there are a lot of regional attractions and businesses along that roadway, as you all know. And so our goal is to have a planning process if we got these grants that will involve everybody in the community. exciting news too is that IDOT, Illinois Department of Transportation, has agreed to be a co-applicant with this application, which is unusual, as you all know. I'm sure they don't just say yes to everybody who asks. So we feel fortunate that they have agreed to be part of this because they see the value and significance of this project. And also, if we got the grant, I hope this also will be like a model, because there's many other roadways like Veterans Parkway in other communities in Illinois and other parts of the country. And this could be, a model, reference point for other communities. So we have staff, as a team, and also working with staff, even outside MCRPC, with the town, the city, county, Connect Transit has agreed to be a partner in this. And also we're trying to get letters of support from different community partners to be included in the application. So we've been working fiercely, the whole team, the staff team, putting narrative, the application together with graphics and also working with a larger group with the members and partners that we mentioned. And then of course, the grants, they usually would require certain matching grants, right? Because there's only so much money for the federal government to distribute, and for thousands of applications that they anticipate for this. So the chance of getting it, although it's less than 1%, but if we don't try, we never will get it. And I was sharing with our team members that one of the cities that I used to work for is a small inner-ring suburb in this English area, but we were one of 14 communities in the countries, that got picked. And so that's why we're going all out for this opportunity, knowing there will be thousands of other applications that we're competing with. We're doing our best, and with the support of IDOT and also some financial commitments from other partners, then we'll just keep our fingers crossed and go for the best. And due day is next Monday. So with some of us been working over the holidays, the one that we just had, and we'll keep working probably through the weekend, and we'll get it submitted. And so if we got the grant, we'll provide staff here, we'll provide some in-kind, because as a local match contribution, but so for in-kind as a project management, overseeing consultants, seeing the contract with the federal government. And so, but we also are getting commitments for some of the local entities for the financial commitment, because they see the value and the importance of this 10-mile roadway. And if I may mention too, including the airport, as they see the value, although they don't sit on Veterans Parkway, but Route 9 does, and which connects to Veterans Parkway, which affects or benefits a lot of the freight traffic and passenger traffic. So it's something for the entire community. If we got it, it's good for the entire community. Not just people who live here, but people who travel from commute to work, to State Farm, to Vivian's, and other like Bridgestone, Country Financial, job opportunities here. And so that's our intent, that's our goal. So we've been working really hard on the staff and other team members. And so just want to give you an update so that you're aware of it. And then if we do get it, then we'll bring the contract to you. So we still got a lot of like budgeting and other things, but as you can understand. So any questions or things I'll be happy to.
How much is the grant if we would get it, or does it vary by community?
It varies by community. The federal government has for planning grants, they have $30 million set aside, and all of that 10 is dedicated, and correct me, staff or Jen or anybody. 10 is appropriate, is set aside for what they call as rural area, which the definition may not be the same as what we think rural, but we qualify as rural. So because any of the places that are under 20,000 population qualifies as rural according to this grant program. So so we qualify for that. So that's at least I think up to $10 million set aside for the rural, let alone the other 20 million. And so usually they look at it cover even distribution, rural, urban, big cities, large cities, smaller cities, medium-sized cities, and then the 50 states, maybe the territories too. And and then they look at lots of factors or criteria. We have at least over 10 criteria that look at. The local matches also is the financial commitment is a major factor, because leveraging, if the federal government is able to leverage say $500,000 project by just giving $20,000 or $200,000, then they can leverage the rest. And so a lot of things that they do consider. The project scope that we're considering right now for this planning process is about $500,000 to $600,000 for this whole planning process. We have gotten some estimates just to cover ballpark. It ranges from amounts smaller than this and much higher. But we try to be realistic. If we don't, even if the grant is awarded, we'll be suffering. Yeah. If we overestimate, then we have to cover more local matches to get the leverage amounts, then it will be tight. So, but then if we underestimate, then if we got the grant, we won't be able to carry out the planning project as we envision. So I'm trying to be realistic in the amounts, somewhat that we get what we want if we got awarded, but still keeping in mind that the local matches are high enough that we are above and beyond the other thousands of applicants.
Anyone have any questions?
Carl from the airport.
Yes.
Yes, I want to just say, kind of reiterate and echo what Ray talked about. The Airport Authority believes this is an important opportunity. We're going to be providing a letter of support along with the grant submission materials. When you look at where our passenger traffic comes from, the majority of our traffic accesses the airport off East Empire coming from veterans. When you look at our growing air cargo opportunities, there's a lot of air cargo trucks that are going up and down Veterans Parkway that need to service the airport. And we also use veterans a great deal for a lot of our critical deliveries come into the community from Veterans Parkway onto East Empire. Things like de-icing fluid in the wintertime, our own sand and chemicals in the wintertime, jet fuel 12 months a year. So the health, well-being, and positive future of Veterans Parkway is critical to the airport operation. And we do support Ray in this efforts, and we're certainly going to participate and do what we can to help it.
Thank you, Carl.
Well, I think it's really exciting that you've taken on this major undertaking to write a federal grant in a short period of time. The project would certainly benefit Bloomington Normal. Yes, so I have to thank all of the staff and you, Ray, for working overtime over the July 4th holiday. Hopefully you got to see some fireworks. But anyway, because it is a big undertaking to submit a federal grant. They're very detailed. If you make one error, it can be thrown out. And it's good that you've been through this before. So anyway, I just want to thank you for all of your effort and that of the staff.
We just thankful that IDOT, we wait for their word. We make a request And then they did say yes after.
That's really exciting.
So that's really exciting and able also to provide some financial commitment to the grant as match. So so we are hopeful. As you all know, a lot of considerations, by USDOT on this. But I think if we got it, and also from my experience for a similar project, that if we really, got this grant, got this project completed satisfactory, the name Bloomington Normal, McLean County will get out to the whole country, and because. They want you to share your stories, the federal government to others. So I think it's crossed. We'll keep working hard. I mean, the staff members, they really put in a lot of time and effort.
Okay. Well, thank you. There's one more item before we adjourn, and I wanted to introduce our newest member, Stan Gosier here, and he is with Unit 5, and anyway, he was approved by the county board recently, and this is his first meeting. Glad that he could be here in person. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I was recently elected to the county school board, so at the beginning of a 4-year term there. I work at State Farm, so by day I price auto insurance and homeowners insurance, and then I have my wife is a teacher in Unit 5, 3 small kids, the oldest of which is heading into 1st grade. So both my wife and I are originally from Ohio. We moved here to start our careers here in Unit 5 at State Farm. So I've been here in town for about 12 years, ever since we moved.
Wow. Okay, well, welcome to the Planning Commission. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
If I may also
all right.
as a new staff member, you want to?
Oh, yeah, no, you go ahead, because, yes, you're more familiar.
Yeah, before I introduce our new assistant planner, and I would also want to thank Melissa Robinson, our office manager. Will be her last meeting with us. She found a career opportunity that's more in line with her career path. And so we'll miss her a lot. She's start with us like a couple of weeks before the pandemic hit our area. But yeah, so she's done a tremendous work in helping us through when we still remember the transition. We had a predecessor. And so we hate to see her go, but wish her the best because that's really in line with kind of the healthcare field that she's going into. I don't know, you want to say a few things?
Sure. Do you want me to stand?
Up to you.
Okay, I can stand, I guess. Yes, I just want to thank each and every one of the commissioners, of the staff members for welcoming me in, helping me along the way. I know I've only been in one in-person commission meeting, so really I've just seen everybody's faces and heard their voices online, but I'm glad to get to know at least some of you. But yes, I will be going back into the healthcare field, specifically working in a hospice team. So kind of going back into that route, but everything that I have done in this line of work and in this position, not taking it for granted. It is something that will stick with me and help me throughout my career. So thank you.
Congratulations. Yeah, best wishes.
Thank you.
We'll be losing one, but also, however, we did just gain one. Our newest assistant planner, sitting in the back, and her name is.
Step up so the people.
Oh, you want to step up to the podium?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And this is Subagi Waiter, and she just joined. This is like her first week with us. I'll be already told her to work on this race grant already. Maybe if you want to introduce yourself a little bit.
Sure. I'm Shubhangi. I'm originally from India, and I spent the last 2 years in Champaign, Urbana, where I completed my master's in urban planning. So yeah, I just moved to Bloomington about 2 weeks ago, And yeah, this is my first week here and I'm really excited to be working with the team.
Well, welcome here to the planning
Thank
commission.
you. Yeah.
And you jumped right into the fire.
Yeah, good thing to have some planning experience while in Canada, I mean, in India, and so that can actually get us moving too. So, yeah, so we'll be recruiting for Melissa's successor. So in the next few weeks, hopefully it won't take too long.
All your free time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's time to adjourn. Is there a motion? Okay, Bart moves that we adjourn. And the time is 4:45. So is there a second?
Second.
Second, Jim seconds. So all in favor? Say aye and raise your hand. Thank you.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thanks all for attending the meeting.
Have a good day.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you very much.